Hey guys, how you doing? How is your day going? How's your week going? So I I asked in the group early in the week about sleep. Now this was prompted by somebody I spoke to who DM'd me about kind of struggling with their sleep. It made me think about maybe there's other people struggling. So I put a post out saying who might need some help with their sleep and add a few comments. So I thought I'd do a little presentation just to show you my RAR method to help kind of fix your sleep for good. Right. So what is it? So the RAR method. So why have I done this? Well, lots of people that I speak to, lots of clients that I speak to, struggle with quality of sleep and getting enough sleep. And I've very rarely come across people that say they couldn't maybe improve their sleep. There's also sometimes we're not sure what to do. There's lots of information, there's lots of advice out there. Different things work for different people. So I thought it might be useful to see my kind of the way that I like to help people sleep using my RAR method. So basically RAR just stands for routine, affirm, and relax. So I'll just explain all those things. It's simple, but it's a number of different steps to go through. So firstly, why is sleep important? Well, I guess the main thing is recovery. Our bodies need to recover from the day, whether that's mentally and physically. We need that downtime for our brains to kind of process what's gone on that day, process learning, things like that. Physically, our bodies need time to regenerate. So if our bodies get broken down during the day, and we need that time to regenerate. If we're not getting enough sleep, this can lead to weight gain related to certain hormones, stress hormones inside our body. I've mentioned cortisol there. Also, if you're trying to lose weight, again, it can affect that journey and affect your success in that place. If we don't get enough sleep, then mentally we haven't got that mental recovery time, so decision making might be harder. We might not have the headspace or mental capacity to make the decisions we want to do. For example, if you're trying to improve your diet, you might not have the capacity to make the right choices in the moment about maybe kind of eating the right kind of thing that you want to eat, or maybe reaching for that snack that you want to avoid. It also affects relationships. And we know if we don't have enough sleep, then we are more irritable, moody, and that might affect relationship with our family. Also, just generally coping with life. If we're not well rested and we don't sleep well, I know for me, and I know from people I speak to, that we're just less able to cope with the kind of the stress and strains of life and the things that it throws up at us. So, the first one, RAR. So the first one is routine. So we like routine. We, as children, we grow up with routine and we respond well to that. So as much as when we get adults, we'd like to think that maybe we move away from that kind of childlike need of routine, but deep down we do like routine. Our bodies respond well to it, and our kind of the human race responds well to routine. So also we need time to wind down from the day. So we need a bit of structured time to wind down from what's happened during the day, work, whatever it is, family life. It puts our minds at ease. That it kind of it's giving our minds and our bodies just that kind of that cue. Okay, now things are winding down, things are getting slower, and I'm getting ready for sleep. I've mentioned drugs there, so not so much, maybe not so much kind of prescription drugs or sleep related therapies. I'm thinking more they're kind of alcohol. Quite often we might reach for maybe a glass of wine or a beer to wind us down, to think, oh, if I have a glass of wine, it kind of helps me wind down and helps me get to sleep. So I think it is better not to rely on some sort of drug, alcohol being a drug, to do that. So we can do a little bit of work, and so we're not having to rely on these things to help us wind down and help us get that sleep. So kind of 30 to 60 minutes before sleep, you need to be starting thinking about what's my routine, how am I going to wind myself down. Our bodies and our brains need that amount of time to kind of get into that routine. When I think about my children, again, we'd have like bath time, we'd have a story, we'd brush our teeth, and that I can say generally takes maybe 30 to 60 minutes to do it. We're turning off the brain. We're using that time to turn off the brain and starting to relax and starting to get rid of all that stuff that's going on. So things like journaling is a good idea. If you struggle from your mind going at 1,000 miles an hour, thinking about all those things that you need to do, then writing those down in a journal is a really good idea. Part of that routine, part of that, getting that out on paper. Reading is also good. So again, our brains can't think about two things at once. So if we're doing, especially not us chaps, if our brains are going at 1,000 miles an hour, thinking about all those things we've got to do, if we read a book, again, we can only think about what we're reading about. So it's a good way of kind of getting rid of those thoughts. Meditation is also really good. Again, meditative practice is good at calming down the brain. Again, we're bringing things down and we're starting to calm things. We're starting to get a little bit of headspace so we're ready for sleep. So that's the first thing. The first thing is getting a bit of routine in your life. 30 to 60 minutes thinking about what could I do? Could I kind of turn my phone off an hour before bed? Stop watching maybe if we watch TV in the evenings, again, an hour before we're going to get to sleep, turn that off, go and brush our teeth, maybe do a bit of journaling, write down all the tasks you've got to do tomorrow, get those things out of your head onto a bit of paper, do a bit of reading, start to get things down and start to enjoy that that routine at night time. So step 2 of the RAR method is to affirm. So affirmation. So basically what we're going to do now is we're going to tell ourselves certain things. So I'm going to give an example to illustrate the converse of positive affirmations. So when we go on holiday, say we've got an early flight and we have to get up in the morning. So we have to get up at like some ridiculous hour in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. We're going to get up and we're going to have to drive to the airport. We're going to have to get our kids out of the house. We're going to have to drive 5 hours and get to the airport in time to go and fly. And before we go to bed, we tell ourselves, I have to get really early and I'm not going to sleep well. I've never slept well when I've been going on holiday and I'm going to have a terrible night's sleep. And hey presto, it always happens. We have that terrible night's sleep. So telling ourselves we're going to have a bad night's sleep, we can also, the converse is also true. We can practice telling ourselves that we are going to have a good night's sleep. Now, we always believe the negative side of things, but that positive affirmation, that positive thought takes a little bit more of a leap of faith to believe. Why? Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's the human conditioning. We focus on the negative. So I want you to take that leap of faith and start telling yourself that you are going to have a good night's sleep. Something that I've written about it. Yeah, so let's move on to the next one. It is a leap of faith. So what do you need to do? So what I want you to do is when you're in bed and you've turned your light off and you're going to sleep, I want you to thank your bed for being comfortable and giving you a good night's sleep. And again, it sounds a little bit crazy, but these things do work. A client of mine in Canada, he literally this action of telling himself he's going to have a good night's sleep had pretty much an overnight kind of difference to his sleep. So thanking our bed, saying thank you for being comfortable, thank you for giving me this kind of time to sleep. And then we're going to use an affirmation, something like I am going to sleep well tonight. I'm going to have a good night's sleep. I'm going to have 6, 7, 8 hours sleep, and I'm going to feel mine is kind of usually I say in my head, I'm going to feel a little bit groggy in the morning because I always do, but I'm going to have a good night's sleep, and whatever happens in the night is going to be good. And I'm not going to focus on the kind of what time I have to get up. I'm going to affirm some positive sentence in my head that it's going to be a good night's sleep and I'm going to sleep well. Now, you don't need to believe this yet. You don't need to. So when you say this positive affirmation, it might be a part of your brain is saying, it's just mumbo jumbo. This just doesn't make sense. We have to recognize at this point we are talking to that primitive crocodile brain, that older brain in our head, which definitely responds to when we say we're not going to sleep well tonight. It also responds well to when we say I am going to sleep well tonight. I am going to have a good night's sleep. I'm going to wake up refreshed in the morning. But it takes, like I said, it takes a bit of a leap of faith and will take a little bit of practice. But believe me, it does work. Step 3, so relax. So step 3 of the RAR method is relaxing. So this is quieting the brain. This is related quite heavily to that wind down time, but it might take a little bit of practice to wind down. So the example that I would give is you're on centre court at Wimbledon. If you're there at the final of Wimbledon, you're on centre court, you would not be practicing your backhands down the line on centre court. You would not practice in that moment there. You wouldn't do it. So when we're trying to get to sleep, we wouldn't use that time to practice. We need to practice elsewhere when we are when we don't need to sleep. So when we're in like a low impact, maybe a low stress environment. So meditation's a really, really good tool for helping quiet the brain and getting ourselves back to sleep. So you would practice meditation when you don't need it. So practice it and you would get better at it. So when in that moment, when you want to quiet your brain, when you want to get to sleep, you've got this tool of meditation that you can go to, and it's going to take you 5 minutes to get to sleep rather than maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or whatever it is. So I want you to, whatever you're practice, if you're going to practice this kind of relaxation, things like the tools you're going to use, and whether it's journaling, writing things down, whether it's meditation, you're going to practice this and you're going to do it regularly. Now, Rome wasn't built in a day. Things like meditation, things like journaling, things like about quieting the brain might take a little bit of time, and that's okay. So we don't try this once and then give up. In the same way that if you go to the gym once, you don't get a six-pack, it takes a bit of time, and we have to believe in that, and we have to trust that the practice that we do will work. It just might take a little bit of time to get it, but believe me, trust me, all these things will lead to a better night's sleep. So the RAR method. So routine, affirm, and relax. Okay, so get some routine in your life. Affirm the positive thoughts in our head. I am going to have a good night's sleep. This bed is comfortable. Thank you, bed. And then relax. So practice that relaxation. Practice turning your mind off. Practice getting yourself ready for sleep. So if you have any questions on sleep, on the RAR method, if you want any help, any guidance, do comment. You can drop me a DM or drop me an email there if you want. I'll be interested in your thoughts on this, interested in what you've tried. If you do give it a go and you see a positive benefit, I'd also like to know. Okay, thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon.